We all have great power of imagination. May I ask all of you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine the image of a doctor. Now go ahead and imagine the image of a nurse keeping your eyes closed. And while you keep your eyes closed, now imagine the image of a transgender person, maybe from a Kinnar community or a Hijra community. Most probably, this is how you imagine the image of a doctor as a man. And this is probably how you imagine the image of a nurse as a woman. Though we do have male nurses too, who is also having the same characteristics and is also compassionate with a nice smile. And probably this is how you imagine the image of a transgender person as someone from the Kinnar community wearing a sari, makeup, and maybe engaged in one of her traditional professions, like probably begging at a traffic signal or dancing or performing. These images and perceptions are based upon our conditioning. Now, can you imagine the image of a transgender person as a doctor or a nurse? For most of us, it's going to be difficult to imagine that because we haven't come across a transgender person who is a doctor or a nurse. Now, let me tell you one such story of an imagination becoming true. Let's time travel and teleport ourselves to Bombay of 1983. A child was born into a poor Muslim family. This was their third child after two sons, and they very well knew how to raise children. So they looked at the child, said it's a male child, and raised this child as a boy. But as the child grew, she realized that there's something wrong. That while she felt like a girl, everyone treated her like a boy. On top of that, she was admitted into an all-boys school where her distress only further worsened. She tried and failed. She was teased and abused for her feminine gestures and was constantly corrected to act manly. But somehow she persisted and continued with her studies because she wanted to become a doctor, like many other children, and wanted to bring her family out of the cycle of poverty. She wanted to take care of her ailing mother, and the only way to success and coming out of all this unhappiness for her was to become a doctor. She studied hard and got into one of the best medical colleges of India. And she thought that now finally I'm going to find people who will understand me. The medical spaces are very gender binary. From classrooms to washrooms to common rooms to libraries to OPD queues to wards, everywhere you have only male and female, and there was no space for a gender diverse person like her over there. She earned her MBBS degree, she went on to do masters in community medicine, and finally now she was a postgraduate doctor. Her family strongly opposed her choice and her decision to be herself, to undergo transition or a gender change. And when it comes from the family, it can be very challenging or difficult. So she decided that it's enough, now I need to move out of my family. So she left Bombay and landed up in Delhi, where she did not know a single person, in spite of the opposition of the family, in fact, without the knowledge of her family. And she went ahead and started transitioning as a woman. And then she found genuine happiness. And she realized that all throughout my life, actually, I was depressed. And it is now that I'm feeling genuine happiness when I'm doing what I wanted to do. It wasn't easy, but the dream was too big and the need was very acute, and therefore she persisted. And on 4th of July, 2019, she became Aqsa Shaikh. And I am Aqsa Shaikh. I am one of the first transgender doctors in the country. I am the only known transgender medical teacher in the country, and I am the only trans person to head a COVID vaccination center, and there are many more firsts. And that does give me a lot of pride and joy, but what gave me immense amount of happiness was to be myself. And I want to say this to all the people who are in the dilemma of to be or not to be. I would say be yourself. In my case, to be myself wasn't easy. I had to let go of a lot of things. I had to let go of my relationship with my mother, who was the closest person to me, but who opposed my decision. I had to let go of my relationship with my adopted child, who was separated from me. I had to let go of my entire family, my city, and all the memories that come with it. I had to let go of my old name, fame, and success. But at the end, this was a price worth paying. Because this not just ensured personal and professional success, I became myself. And you know what happened? My mother, who was strongly opposed to my decision, came back. She accepted me, she loves me, and now stays with me. And my room has finally become home again. Talking about authenticity, during my transition, one of the trans women who had transitioned before me gave me this advice that, when you transition, you should only tell people that you are a woman and not a transgender woman. Because the moment they know that you are a transgender person, they'll only remember your trans identity and not respect your woman's identity. And that won't be very respectful for you. That did make sense, and it's a choice exercised by some transgender people, and I respect that. But for me, I had had enough of hiding, and I said, no more. I've done this for 34 years of my life, and I do not want to hide anymore. I also want to tell all the people who have transgender children or queer children or children who are different to just accept your child. They are different, not abnormal. And love them. And you will see how much difference that makes in their life. Forget about medical education. It's not easy to even get basic school education for most transgender people. There's intense amount of bullying and teasing at the school level. And then you have a set of teachers who do not understand or who do not have the skill set to care for such children. You do not have colleagues who can empathize with you. Similarly, due to social exclusion, a lot of transgender people cannot participate in these simple, spheres of life. Like, for example, going to a theater and watching a movie, going to a shopping mall, or, for example, accessing healthcare, coming to a hospital. In such a scenario, imagine the relief of a transgender patient if they come to know that their doctor is also a transgender person. Or imagine the relief of a patient when they come to know that their nurse is a transgender man. Or imagine the relief of a child who is gender diverse when they come to know that their teacher is a transgender person. Or, for example, the relief when a complainant goes to a police station who is transgender person and finds that, oh wow, the police inspector is also a transgender person. Imagine the relief. Yeah? I recently went to a store to buy a watch, and I was greeted there by a very confident and helpful store attendant whose name was Sarah. And she was carrying a badge with a pride flag. So, as we conversed, we both realized that we are transgender women. Sarah and me both. Now imagine the joy for us of, going to a store and finding that the store attendant is a trans person, and for her to know that her customer is a trans person. And imagine her joy when I told her that I'll be wearing this watch to my TEDx talk, and I'll be speaking on transgender rights over there. And this is why inclusion and visibility matters so much. Because it not just makes our spaces safer and more accepting, it's also a matter of equality and right. And most importantly, it gives a message to all the Aqsas and Sarahs out there that you're not alone. That there are more people like you, and you can be yourself and be accepted and loved. I'll be ending my talk with a short poem, and this poem is for everyone who is different, which is almost every one of us. On days when you feel that you are different, that you are the black sheep of the family, that you are an outcast or rebel, strange, odd, or queer, remember there are 8 billion of us, but there is only one you. So it's okay to be different. Rather, it's beautiful to be different. So be different. Be you. On days when you are told that you're abnormal, sinner, sick, or criminal for being who you are, remember that the only opinion that matters about your existence and your identity is yours alone. On days when you feel that you are not accepted by your family, society, religion, or law, remember it's okay to be not accepted by everyone. But do remember to first accept yourself. On days when you feel that you cannot bear this pain anymore, that no one understands, no one cares, that there is no hope or help, that there's no point in continuing like this and you want a way out, remember that we have just one life, and while that life may be challenging, it's still precious. And there is a way out to a brighter future. And on every single day, remember this, that you are beautiful, you are accepted, and you are loved. Thank you.